There's just 3 weeks left to see how you could be our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight, horrific footage of a Sudanese migrant trying to kidnap a schoolgirl. And
as a result, we won't have to do a budget like this ever again.
Rachel Reeves said that she'd never do another tax hiking budget.
Of course, we're looking at further measures on tax and spending to make sure that the public finances always add up.
And today she admits there'll be loads more tax rises.
Hiya, it's Deputy Prime Minister, proud Northerner and basic instinct enthusiast Angela Rayner.
Disgraced Angela Rayner accepts £17,000 taxpayer-funded payoff and... I speak to a woman who was stabbed 18 times by a Gazan terrorist who has now been released. Also...
But it looks like the police are trying to cause a scene.
I also speak to the lady who was arrested for trying to hang a Union flag from an Essex council building. Today, her charges were dropped. On my panel tonight, we have got the Director of Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood. We've got Reform UK Councillor Russell Quirk and broadcaster and journalist Nina Mishkov. And what is all this about?
Thurston. Hello, my name's Isabel. I'm actually here to place you under citizen's arrest.
Excuse me, I'm trying to get to work.
I'm so sorry.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. A Sudanese migrant tried to kidnap a schoolgirl. Next.
Very good evening to you from the newsroom, just coming up to 2 minutes past 9. Well, breaking news tonight as fears are growing the fragile Gaza ceasefire could unravel. That's as Hamas has claimed in the last hour. It has now returned all the bodies it can find. The group has said retrieving any others would require significant efforts and specialised equipment. We have had also a statement from Israel confirming the remains of 2 more hostages have been handed to the Red Cross tonight. But it means that 19 hostages remain unaccounted for in Gaza. Under the first phase of Donald Trump's peace plan, Hamas was required to return 28 bodies. It follows another day of tensions after Israel revealed one of the bodies handed over last night was not one of the missing hostages. Meanwhile, in Washington, President Donald Trump has told reporters that he hopes that he would consider letting Israel resume fighting if Hamas fails to meet the ceasefire deal, saying Israel, he says, will return to the streets as soon as I say the word. In other news, the Prime Minister says the government will publish the witness statement it submitted in the collapsed China spy case. 2 men, Christopher Cash and Christopher Berry, were charged under the Official Secrets Act last year, but the case was dropped last month. Both insist they are innocent. The Crown Prosecution Service said it couldn't get key evidence from the government, including documents referring to China as a national security threat. Well, Sir Keir Starmer insists officials were not directed or influenced before they gave evidence.
I'm deeply disappointed by the outcome. We wanted to see prosecutions. Mr. Speaker, I know just how seriously, rightly, that you take these matters. National security will always be the first priority of this government, and after legal advice, I have decided to publish the witness statement. Given the information contained, we will conduct a short process, but I want to make clear I intend to publish the witness statements in full.
A misconduct hearing for a Metropolitan Police firearms officer who shot dead Jermaine Baker during a foiled prison break nearly a decade ago has been dismissed. The officer, known as Whiskey 80, fired the fatal shot in 2015 as police stopped a plot to free prisoners outside Wood Green Crown Court. A public inquiry in 2022 had already found Mr Baker was lawfully killed, though he was unarmed when shot. The misconduct panel today ruled there was no case to answer, ending what the Met Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley called a decade of legal madness.
The system itself, the regulations which hold police to account, do not have the right balance. As I say, they're exploited too often by criminals and their legal teams to undermine police officers' confidence. And we need a system which looks fairly at split-second decisions taken by officers in the most difficult operational moments.
A University of Oxford student has been arrested after being filmed allegedly chanting, quote, "put the Zios in the ground" at a pro-Palestinian march in London at the weekend. The 20-year-old was detained on suspicion of inciting racial hatred following that protest in central London. Footage appeared to show the man telling crowds the chant had been workshopped in Oxford. Oxford University confirmed a student had been arrested and suspended, saying there's no place for hatred or anti-Semitism within its community. Police say the man remains in custody tonight. And a company linked to Baroness Michelle Mone has missed the deadline to repay £122 million for breaching a COVID PPE contract. The High Court ruled some of the gowns supplied by PPE MedPro, run by Mone's husband Doug Barrowman, were not sterile and failed to meet healthcare standards. The firm has since gone into administration, owing £145 million, including interest, now rising daily. Health Secretary Wes Streeting says the government will pursue the company with everything he's got to claw back the money. Those are the latest headlines. I'll be back with you in an hour's time. Now, though, it's over to Patrick.
Good evening. Today, the Home Secretary said that Britain has lost control of its borders. She said that we need greater cooperation with international partners. Well, I'm going to show you some recent cases that prove the problem is even worse than you ever imagined. This is the moment an illegal Sudanese migrant tried to snatch a 17-year-old girl and drag her across the street. We'll be playing some CCTV of that shortly. But luckily, brave passers-by intervened, but Abdul Mawal Ibrahim Adam then tried to engage with a second woman until she got away from him before trying to follow a third. So he was on a spree, this guy. He was later arrested and then eventually charged with attempted kidnap. However, he refused to engage with police and the court's process before finally pleading guilty at Swindon Crown Court. Like I said, we'll get you the CCTV of that very, very shortly. But before that, let me give you some other cases from recent days. An Iraqi asylum seeker was pictured wielding a machete and was found guilty of smuggling hundreds of illegal immigrants into Britain. He is Mohammed Ali Nariman, claimed asylum in November 2021, and just 3 months later, he was found on a yacht off the coast of Sussex. And it turned out that he was part of a people smuggling network, helping people to get to Britain on dinghies and in the back of lorries. So basically, that guy was banged to rights. Why? Well, police found images of migrant passports and messages from Nariman directing them to his home address, as well as a video of him holding £50,000 worth of cash, apparently. Well, he cannot be sent to prison because he has PTSD and anxiety, right? In fact, his lawyers managed to convince the judge that he shouldn't even face a full criminal trial. Instead, he's going to get a supervision order or just a bit of time in hospital. So his PTSD meant that he couldn't face a full criminal trial, but of course it didn't stop him committing those crimes. I believe we might now have that CCTV footage for you of the incident that took place in Swindon, which involved a Sudanese migrant. So I'm hoping that we might be able to play that for you in just a second. There you go. So there's a Sudanese migrant who stalked a girl. She was trying to get the bus home. She was walking home from work, actually, near a bus stop, and he grabs her, just grabs her. Imagine how terrifying that is for that poor girl. Anyway, then passers-by see, they come and eventually try to get him off her. He then goes after another woman and then another woman, and there we go. Is there any indication, by the way, that he's going to be deported off the back of this? I'm not sure there is. Now let's look at another headline for you, OK? This is pretty devastating. I married an Afghan migrant. He raped me and then used me to claim asylum. His wife, Amelia, that's not her real name, wrote multiple letters to the Home Office saying that he was going to kill her and her child and that he had returned to Afghanistan on holiday twice using an Afghan passport to cross the border from Iran, then using his British passport to get back into our country, having travelled back to Iran. So our Home Office would never have known that he'd been to Afghanistan. He actually married a new wife whilst he was over in Afghanistan as well. The Home Office did nothing. He is now a free man living in Iran, but his wife warns that he'll just come back to Britain one day. Yesterday, a Romanian rapist of no fixed abode was found guilty of raping a 27-year-old doctor in Scotland. He also flashed a woman on the train. Then, when he was in court, they decided it would be a good idea to handcuff him to a female prison officer. And he started masturbating. He masturbated in the courtroom whilst chained to a female prison officer. Yet again, there appears to be absolutely no question whatsoever of us deporting him. So, Mrs. Home Secretary, we don't need greater international cooperation. We need you to start deporting these people yourself. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. Director of Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, Reform UK Councillor Russell Quirk, and, of course, journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. Right, OK. I mean, I think that CCTV, which I don't know if you might be able to bring up again, is absolutely harrowing stuff. Sudanese migrant going after a schoolgirl, first of all, and then two other women just on the streets of Britain.
Yeah. Obviously, ghastly pictures, isn't it? I mean, you know, a horrible, violent crime and attacks do happen, you know, each and every day in the United Kingdom. The question is, what are we going to do about it? And you know, Patrick, you were mentioning, you know, how tough are we going to be? Well, I mean, it's extraordinary. The Home Office statement says, a Home Office spokesman said, when foreign nationals commit serious crimes in our country, I think this would be counted, attempted kidnap, we will always do everything in our power to deport them. That's the Home Office. Well, They've got a lot of power. They don't seem to have done anything in their power to deport them. We are being taken for mugs. I like the fact that we are a tolerant, kind country that gives everybody a first chance, or a good number of people. I do not like the fact that we give everybody a second, third, fourth and fifth chance. It's absolutely unbelievable. This guy came in here illegally 2 years ago. Why is he still in the country? He entered illegally also, 2 years ago.
Also, as well, the other thing is, and I'm not trying to tar everyone from Sudan with the same brush, but as people will know, you know, in those Calais camps at the moment and in the warehouses, the overwhelming majority of people that I saw there were from Sudan, right? So, you know, you've got a guy there who looks like an incredibly big guy who's just come out of the shadows, a 17-year-old schoolgirl who may well never be the same as a result. But then you've also got some of those other cases that I mentioned there, you know, 15-year-old girl raped, 27-year-old woman in Scotland raped by people who have no right to be here, really.
So, I think this whole deportation thing is an absolute red herring. And I'll tell you for why. Is because no one ever seems to talk much about the fact that these people shouldn't be here in the first place. What we need to do is prevent them coming, which you do in two ways, in my opinion. One is to make sure that when they turn up here, by lorry, by boat or whatever, that we immediately put them into internment camps and send them back within hours. That would be the first thing. A, because that's the right thing to do, and secondly, because it would be a deterrent. But also not to grant quite so many people asylum. I think the rate so far is about 60% versus France's 5%. We also continue to advertise on the Home Office's website all the wonderful trinkets and gifts that you get as an asylum seeker when you come here. So, of course, if you think that you're going to get away with things and not be deported, and you think that there's a nice soft Premier in bed with a 42-inch plasma screen waiting for you also, of course, you not only are going to get off the hook in terms of your criminality, but you've also got an incentive. The reality is, and some people will shout at the screen as I say this, but it's true, there are certain people in this country from certain overseas countries that simply have a higher propensity to commit crime. That is a matter of fact. And I would argue that some of those people are coming from countries where, let's just say, their culture does not respect women. Places that think it's OK to stone women to death on the basis of being suspicious about their alleged adultery and so on. Countries that won't let women drive, they're probably not going to be in accordance with Western values when they come here, are they?
I mean, you know, the thing again is that those are all cases that have been reported on anyway, just from like this week, from the last few days. And I could probably do one of those monologues every single week. It is devastating, all of this stuff, isn't it?
I am not going to support a man like that. As a woman, I know that's the most terrifying thing, standing on your own in a street by a bus stop and a guy grabs you. I am not going to support that. And this particular Sudanese guy has been completely obstructive. He won't talk to his lawyers. He refuses to come to court. They've had 8 different hearings because he needs to be got rid of. And people like that, they have no place in our society. But when we talk about these cases, we are overloading the system against people who are not white British, because really, as a woman, what we need to look at is the propensity of men to attack women. In this country, the police get a call about domestic abuse every 30 seconds.
But Nina, sorry, we're talking about the importation of people that are doing this.
Hang on. These are not people who've been imported.
Well, I'm just saying that some of them are. I'm not saying men aren't a problem per se.
No, let's just see what the basic problem that we women face in this country. I've said this before. At the Southport riots, 40% of the men who were arrested had been charged with domestic abuse. So, all right, protecting our women...
Yeah, but Nina,
that's not this debate.
No,
that's not this debate.
Obviously, well, it's not the same thing, is it?
No, because you're not a woman.
You might well be right that we need more rigorous policies and better enforcement policies to tackle domestic violence. You may well be right on that. But this is not a domestic violence issue. These issues are around people that we have allowed to come in. Exactly. I'm not suggesting...
We've added to the problem by importing people.
Women are being being attacked.
Yeah.
Only 3% of rape charges ever come to court.
Yes.
And of those, only there's less than 30% of
Nobody's
rapes.
suggesting this is the only problem in Britain we need to tackle. There are clearly other
I
problems.
understand that, but by concentrating on this, you are completely ignoring that, which it needs to be. And women are suffering one way or
We're not ignoring it.
Women are suffering one way or the other.
Just to drag us back to one of the issues at hand, which is that today the Home Secretary obviously admitted what we all know, is that we've lost control of our borders. She said exactly the same as every single Home Secretary we've had in the
But what an admission, they've been in power for 15 months.
Quite. But
And the
also
Tories
then
were in
saying-
power
but
for
then
14
saying
years. It was Boris
that
who lost control.
The solution to that is for more international cooperation. But it just seems to me like all of the cases that I've rattled off there, it doesn't seem like there's any rush to deport any of those people, Russell. That surely is in her power.
Sorry, it's a bit like the misnomer over smashing the gangs that we heard, I think that particular rhetoric started from Keir Starmer about 2 years ago in the run-up to the general election. How does more international cooperation, or indeed more money to the French, stop people with a propensity to commit sexual crime from other countries coming here and committing the crime? No, but hang on, deporting... Nina, hang on. Nina, deporting them is after they've sexually assaulted women in this country.
And where do you deport them to?
Back to their own countries. The ones they go back on holiday to frequently.
I completely agree with that. But there are many who are not. Like the Romanian, for instance. You can't,
Why can't they go back to Romania?
Well, if you have a returns agreement, you need a returns agreement.
No, because returns agreements...
No,
you don't want a returns agreement because that necessitates we have to take a disproportionate amount back from the EU.
No, that's only the agreement we have with the French, and that's beginning to work.
Stop them. You can send people back to their
How
country
can you just stop them? What do you want? Gunboats?
No, I want internment
on
camps.
the beaches?
Internment camps.
Yeah. So this is the whole thing.
They are
You're
not.
right. The problem is that the Labour government keeps going on about it's all about international cooperation. Now, there may be some international cooperation that would be useful. I can see that. I'm not against cooperating with allied countries. But I want to know what unilateral action they think they can take. You know, stuff that they don't need to run past President Macron or Giorgia Meloni. What unilateral action within our own power can we take? And as I say, that statement from Home Office will do everything in our power.
There's got to be a question of credibility. So for far too long in this country, we have just believed a lot of these people. You take the case of the Iraqi man there who came over, was granted asylum just 3 months after we granted him asylum. It turned out that he'd been one of the kingpins of a human trafficking ring that was using things like yachts, anything they could get their hands on, basically, and he was armed to the teeth to bring illegal people over here to Britain. He then, we were told, couldn't face a criminal trial or go to prison because of PTSD.
I've never heard of such lunacy.
That is ridiculous.
Because I mean, now I'm afraid, having read that headline and seen this show, every criminal in Britain is going to say, well, whether it's shoplifting, armed robbery, or rape, I can't stand trial because I have PTSD. What an absolute load of nonsense!
Yeah.
The thing is, the trouble is, for years
it's a liberal
and years
judiciary
and
that's allowed
years,
this to happen.
the Home Office has not been fit for purpose. And it's a creaking organisation. It's not at all efficient. And until Shabana Mahmood can kick that into action...
This is the justice system, not so much the borders system. I mean, the other extraordinary thing with this Sudanese chap, looked like we were trying to throw legal aid in his direction that he was then not accepting, and this was prolonging the process. So, you know, 8 occasions he turns up.
But do we have any faith? But Mark, do we have any faith whatsoever in a Home Secretary, successive Home Secretaries, I agree, that instead of tackling the problem head-on, whatever that is, in a more robust way, simply starts obfuscating with regard to an equivalent of smashing the gangs? By the way, let's ring some European leaders to try and stop...
Define head-on.
Internment camps. Take away all the incentives.
And also digital ID.
No, what difference would that make? They're all working anyway.
We can identify these people. It's just we're letting them get away with this stuff.
Digital IDs made no difference in Germany or France whatsoever.
All right, let's whiz ourselves on. So regarding the claims, this is a statement from the Home Office, regarding the claims about an Afghan migrant that we said there, about the one whose wife said that he'd been raping her and been nipping off back to Afghanistan. While we do not comment on individual cases, we take any abuse of the immigration system extremely seriously. Where there is evidence of wrongdoing, we will take firm action to challenge it, protect the integrity of our borders. So there we go.
They've lost control of.
There we go, yeah. All right, OK. Look, loads coming your way, including an absolute corker about Angela Rayner. But before that, time for the Great British Giveaway. Are you listening, Ange? It's loads of cash and a massive motorhome. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
There's just 3 weeks left to see how you could be our biggest winner this year with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Someone is guaranteed to win our biggest prize to date, so make sure that winner could be you. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, a Palestinian man jailed over a brutal machete attack has been freed following that peace deal. I'm actually going to talk to one of his victims in a few minutes and play you some footage of some of the really quite fruity things that have been coming out of Gaza in the last couple of days. But before that... Well, watch out Ibiza, because Angela Rayner has just accepted a bumper paycheck following her dismissal in disgrace last month. That's despite previously voting against severance pay. Oh, the only way it could have got worse. Stay tuned.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. So coming up, I'm going to speak to a woman who was stabbed 18 times by a Gazan terrorist who has now been released, and also going to play you really some quite devastating footage that's coming out of Gaza recently, which might make the pro-Palestine brigade just step back a little bit. But before that, is Angela Rayner a massive hypocrite? It's time for the head-to-head. Well, Angela Rayner has indeed been branded a hypocrite tonight after accepting a bumper £17,000 in severance pay, despite previously voting against golden goodbye payments. Now, we might remember that she was forced to resign in disgrace last month after a shocking investigation revealed that she avoided a £40,000 stamp duty bill on her seaside flat in Hove. Rayner accepted her payout just in the nick of time as well, because on Monday, the rules were changed to ban ministers sacked for a, quote, serious breach of the ministerial code from receiving severance pay. She's previously slammed Tory ministers for accepting payouts. In January 2023, she wrote on social media, "The merry-go-round of sacked Tory ministers is laughing all the way to the bank. Their golden goodbyes could have funded 500,000 places at school breakfast clubs." So tonight I'm asking, is Angela Rayner a hypocrite? Going head-to-head on this now, our political commentator Lee Harris and Labour councillor Sebastian Salek. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Tremendous to see you both. Lee, I'll start with you. Is she a hypocrite? Should she have turned this payment down?
Of course she could. I mean, you quite rightly pointed out at the beginning there the vigorousness behind her calling out Tory ministers for this over the years. I mean, she couldn't have even gone further. She was even sort of working out how many nurses it could pay for all of the severance packages that were paid to Conservative ministers. So, yes, you could argue, don't get me wrong, that she hasn't effectively done anything particularly wrong by accepting a £17,000 severance payment, but it really does... the hypocrisy is eye-watering after she really did her. I found out earlier, I was shocked when I saw this, that she was the one who actually tabled the motion. So she tabled a motion to stop to stop ministers, I should say, in general, taking a severance payment if they were deemed to have broken the ministerial code. She clearly broke the ministerial code. She resigned in disgrace. And here she is, not following her own principles and taking the very money that she rallied against to ban for people like her to not get in her situation. I mean, it's just looks awful.
Sebastian, do you think she should have done the decent thing and not accepted this money?
It's such a seductive line, isn't it? Angela Rayner, the hypocrite. But if you look at the details, it's just not true. What did Rayner vote for back in January 2024? No severance pay for serious breaches of the ministerial code. I had a look through the report from Sir Laurie Magnus earlier tonight, the Standards Commissioner. No word in there about Rayner having committed a serious breach. In fact, he says she made a mistake in good faith. So we're talking about two completely different things. The way I see it, there's no hypocrisy whatsoever.
So should she have taken the money, though, regardless of whether or not it's a serious breach or anything? You think she was well within her rights to take that 17 grand?
Perfectly within her rights. If she chooses to give it up, whether that's not taking it or giving it to charity or anything else, then good for her. But what we get into then is a really dangerous spiral where we keep saying to politicians, don't take that money, don't take that pay. Yeah. And when you cramp down on politicians' pay, you get a worse quality of politician.
Well, quite. But I suppose the other thing, Lee, and the next question is, I mean, presumably she can use this £17,000 from the taxpayer to help pay back some of the £40,000 stamp duty that she avoided.
Conveniently, yes. I think it's about £12,000 that she's owed plus interest for the penalty for not paying the stamp duty she owed. And of course, she received £17,000 in severance pay. I was laughing at one person on X earlier who said, I'm sure she'll give it back. And I was thinking, well, she's definitely not going to give it back if she's got 12 grand to pay to the government as a penalty, so it's quite convenient. But just no one has said that what she's doing is wrong. I would argue this is quite a serious breach, and let's not forget that Sir Laurie Magnus actually said that if it wasn't for public scrutiny, she wouldn't have come forward and put herself. This is about principles, and Angela Rayner has has basically made herself out to be a very principled politician, just like Keir Starmer did before the election on clearing up politics. And yet, I struggle to believe that if the roles were reversed, that Angela Rayner, if a Tory had done exactly what Angela Rayner had done, can you really think Angela Rayner would be saying, well, it's not really a serious breach, let's leave them alone, and I'm sure everything will be. She'll be all over Twitter doing exactly what she's done before. As I said, the hypocrisy is eye-watering.
I mean, so Sebastian, I'll just put this to you. So, I mean, the headlines from the time, obviously, you've got the £40,000 stamp duty issue or whatever that is. Then you've got the thing that Angela Rayner used some of her disabled son's NHS compensation to help buy the second home. That was the allegation at the time as well. And now you've got her accepting £17,000 as basically a golden handshake goodbye. I would put it to you that if this was a Conservative that had done this, I think you'd be on this very show saying that was quite a bad thing.
I think that politicians should be paid well, regardless of what party they support. I think the hypocrisy really here is coming from the Conservatives. Remember that they're the ones who cooked up this story. And way back in 2022, when their government was falling apart, you had mass resignations. More than 700 grand was claimed.
Just to clarify, Sebastian, sorry, the story wasn't cooked up. She did resign over it. Just to say, Sebastian, sorry, the story wasn't cucked up, was it? I mean, she resigned over it, so it's true, isn't it?
Well, it's the Tories who are pushing it. It's the Tories who are giving quotes to all the papers. They're the source of this story. What's most remarkable is James Cleverly is the one who's giving the quotes. He lost his job as Home Secretary when the Tories lost the election in 2024. He would have been entitled to severance pay as well. I haven't seen anything saying that he's not taken it. So it's really, really rich of him to be coming out and to be making these claims.
All right, OK. Go on, Lee, very quickly, mate. Then we'll
I was
move
just going to say, that's a sterling defence, but come on. She literally exploited the loophole that she herself helped to close. There isn't a single soul that I can think of that would come onto GB News and defend her position. You're doing a fantastic job, but...
This is not a serious breach. Whether you think it is or not is irrelevant, because you're not the Standards Commissioner. The report has been given. It was not a serious breach, so we're talking about two completely different things here.
Yeah, OK, I suppose technically, yes, I know, but I think it's in the court of public opinion, of course. I think it's quite a bad look. But thank you very much, gentlemen. Always an absolute pleasure. Labour councillor Sebastian Salek there, political commentator Lee Harris. Right, yes, got a bit of this, more coming up now.
There was a meeting in September. That did not involve the National Security Advisor discussing the evidence in any way.
Well. Did the Prime Minister lie to Parliament today over the China spy trial scandal? I'll find out soon. But before that, Palestinian man who was jailed over a brutal machete attack has been freed following that peace deal. I'm going to be joined by one of his victims, and we're going to have a look at some of the things that have been going on in Gaza since that ceasefire. Stay tuned.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you are searching for some holiday sunshine, I can recommend Portugal as one of the warmer and sunnier spots on Thursday. Drier in the Balearics following a wet start to the week, but the rain that has affected parts of Spain and the Balearics now moving through Sardinia, affecting parts of southern Italy into Greece as well. So very lively thunderstorms and some large rainfall amounts. Still some showers across Spain, otherwise mostly fine for Portugal. And the wet weather in Greece becomes more widespread into Croatia and Greece later on.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's simply more of the same during the next 24 hours. If you've seen a lot of low cloud this week so far, you're going to see more again during the next 24 to 48 hours as high pressure simply sits where it is. It's not moving anywhere for the time being. And within that high pressure, we've got a lot of trapped low cloud, unable to break up, unable to shift. So it's just going to sit in the same places. A few exceptions, however. It is being broken up over some of the more rugged terrain, so parts of West Wales into the southwest, and more especially parts of Northern England and Scotland, seeing a few cloud breaks overnight. When we get that, it will be a chilly start to the day, temperatures dipping to 3, 4, 5 Celsius across, say, sheltered parts of the Grampians, where we've got those clear skies overnight. Northern Scotland, at least the far north, especially Orkney, seeing some light showers from the word go, 1 or 2 showers, just fringing upon the Western Isles as well. Otherwise, it's a dry start for most,
But we do have these showers to mention as well for East Anglia and Kent. But inland, plenty of fine weather, settled, yes, under that area of high pressure, but that low cloud still with us throughout the day in most places. But like I say, there are a few exceptions. Western fringes, as well as parts of central Scotland, likely to see the best of any brighter spells through Thursday afternoon. Temperatures very similar to the last few days, 13 to 16 Celsius. Friday morning, more of the same once again, with a few light showers for the north of Scotland, 1 or 2 into East Anglia and the south of England. Perhaps the cloud developing more holes in the south towards the end of the afternoon, and actually Saturday's looking marginally brighter. Still a lot of cloud, but perhaps a better chance of some sunshine. That is before more unsettled weather returns on Sunday.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Well, very shortly we're going to be discussing whether the Prime Minister misled the House of Commons over the China spy scandal, which could be very serious indeed. But first, well, there's been the peace deal, hasn't there? It's hanging in the balance tonight after Israel claimed that one of the bodies handed over by Hamas was not an October 7th hostage. Hamas had agreed to exchange all living and dead hostages in return for the release of 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. While many Israelis have celebrated the peace agreement, for others this is bittersweet. Tal Hartov sustained 18 stab wounds during a brutal knife attack in Jerusalem in 2010. It also left her friend dead. On Friday, she found out that one of the 3 men who tried to kill her, the Palestinian Iyad Hassan Hussein Fatafta, will be released now as part of President Trump's deal. Well, Tal joins me now. Tal, thank you very, very much. Tremendous to see you, albeit under very sad circumstances. How does it feel for you to know that your attacker, amongst others, is now a free man?
Well, you named it very well, actually, Patrick, when you said it's bittersweet. Like, there's not one Israeli who is not overjoyed with the return of the hostages. Of course, this idea that these terrorists that have been released, especially my chap, as they say, they've promised to murder again. So it's a choiceless for Israel. But I've got to say that, I thought about it a lot, given the fact that Israel had done so well in the war. I really do think it was astonishing, bloody, dirty war, but we were determined and there was great things achieved. So why was this deal even happening at the end of the war? And I wouldn't want to say it was President Trump or my Prime Minister only. I'll use this opportunity to say that I think what contributed it was the moral abandonment of Israel by the United Kingdom government, by the French, by the Canadians, by the Australians, and all through this war. And what did that do, actually? That empowered Hamas. When Starmer tweeted out that they recognized the state of Narnia, Palestine, Hamas congratulated and thanked him, and they felt empowered. And they believed that they had many more countries for them. And so I see the role of the British government, who couldn't stand with Israel longer than a couple of days after October the 7th.
Yeah.
Immediately there was the whataboutism, and there's the allowing of these depraved people on the streets calling for the Intifada, of which one of the participants is your Home Secretary. And it's outrageous. And the Labour Party conference, it was a free Palestine fest.
Well, quite. I mean, there's been a huge number of useful idiots out on the streets of Britain every single day, and unfortunately some of them also occupy seats in the House of Commons. Can I just show you some things now, which is predictable, I think, but this is some of the footage that we've seen come out of Gaza since this so-called peace deal. So here's Hamas being Hamas. Look, obviously we stopped the footage there, but those people were executed. I just want to play one more for you, if that's all right. And this is what we believe is one of the Palestinian terrorists who was released and then filmed with his son, and he was vowing that his son would attack Israel again, like happened on October the 7th. Here's the clip.
كابتن جدول بقول للكابتن جدول هددتني وانت ويوب تدعس على رقبة ابني.
So again, how does it make you feel when you see what's going on in Gaza now, given the fact that we've got this deal and that we've let these people back out?
Well, I mean, I understand some Arabic, and it's me and my son, we're going to kill the Jews type thing. So,
right.
So how does it make me feel? Well, it's not a surprise, because this Palestinianism is a death cult, all right? It's a genocidal death cult. And the very people who've been released, they've vowed it to do it again. So it's not a surprise. I feel very resentful, like I said, Patrick, that Israel has been squeezed into a corner. Not just by the government, but by the far left media, like the BBC, and the far left media like Sky News, who've platformed the other voices. And it's a really horrible situation. I mean, also for me personally, right? It's like I was listening to some hostage families. They got their people back, and the mother said, "Oh, our hearts are whole again." Excuse me. And I thought, that's marvelous, and my heart's broken again. So it's this difficult dichotomy that we live in over here. I mean, being Jewish is exhausting.
Is there a sense, just as a final point here, is there a sense from you that there is an inevitability about this, which is that we're going to end up almost back where we started, that Israel are going to end up being attacked again, quite possibly by some of the people who have just been freed from Israeli prisons, and it's here we go again. It's like nothing, like there've not been many consequences for Hamas.
No, it's absolutely right. In their charter, they vow to murder every Jew. And of course, it's not, I mean, with all the good wishes in the world, it's not peace. It's a cessation of hostilities. And it won't be peace until we get our hostages back. And even then, it's like de-radicalizing Nazis after World War II. So, I mean, no Israeli is going to be surprised when it all... If you carry on what they're doing.
Sorry about it. I know we're a bit pressed for time, but it's an interesting point I want to hear from you, which is that if, as it stands anyway, Hamas are not fulfilling, shock horror, not fulfilling their side of the bargain when it comes to returning some of the bodies. If they don't do that, would that, in your view, would that legitimise Israel being militarily acting again?
Totally. And this time we have nothing to lose, in a sense. We've got all our hostages back. We have a strong administration in the White House supporting us. And we feel, to a degree, victorious. And I'll be, if I was doing the military now, I'd lead them in. No mercy. Rise and kill first, as we say in the Bible.
Well, Tal, thank you very, very much. Strong stuff, obviously, but, this is very rare to find someone who has actually had the level of lived experience that you have had at the hands of these barbaric terrorists, and I think someone like you is always worth listening to. So, Tal Hartov there, all the best. I do genuinely wish you all the best. I mean that. I'll talk to you again very, very soon. Right, well, gosh, I mean, it's incredibly moving stuff to hear that. I will just say I'm kind of loath to do this, actually, but the BBC and Sky News aren't here to defend themselves, but anyway. Coming up at 10 p.m. Inflation is the worst in the G7. Government borrowing has rocketed. Tax rises are on the way, despite us saying that there wouldn't be. We're shelling out millions on art classes, IT lessons and welfare buddies and benefits for foreigners in Britain. I'll reveal all very soon. But first...
There was a meeting in September That did not involve the National Security Advisor discussing the evidence in any way.
Has the Prime Minister just lied to Parliament? Stay tuned.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co. with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
GBNews, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Well, did the Prime Minister lie to Parliament today over the China spy scandal? So, he's certainly been accused of it. Here he is.
I'm deeply disappointed by the outcome. We wanted to see prosecutions. Mr. Speaker, I know just how seriously, rightly, that you take these matters. National security will always be the first priority of this government, and after legal advice, I have decided to publish the witness statement. Given the information contained, we will conduct a short process, but I want to make clear I intend to publish the witness statements in full.
Right, so the case against two men accused of spying for China was dropped last month by the Crown Prosecution Service, which claims the government hadn't provided enough evidence. So Starmer may have tried to end days of speculation by promising to publish those witness statements, but pay very close attention to what he says here.
There was a meeting in September. That did not involve the National Security Advisor discussing the evidence in any way, nor, Mr. Speaker, one further piece of evidence. The final statement in this case was submitted in August 2025. There was no further submission of evidence, one way or the other, after any discussion in September. This is a red herring, a completely scurrilous allegation made by the Leader of the Opposition.
Well, I'm joined now by former Conservative Justice Secretary Sir Robert Buckland. Thank you very much. Tremendous to have you on the show, Sir Robert. Could you just explain to my viewers and listeners what Sir Keir Starmer might have got wrong in Parliament there?
Well, he used the word, we didn't discuss the evidence. Now, that must relate to the statements that were made by, we're told, the Deputy National Security Advisor, an official in government, that were used to support the prosecution case in the first instance. Don't forget, this case was commenced about a year before. It relates to a time back in 2022 when these two individuals are allegedly indulging in espionage. Discussing the evidence, or not discussing the evidence is one thing, but discussing the issues around the case is quite another. And the door was very much, I think, left open by the Prime Minister as to what was discussed in that meeting in September of this year, that despite his protestations, does seem to have been a significant meeting and does give rise to the understandable approach that I think most of us are taking in this case, a bit like Alice in Wonderland. It's becoming curiouser and curiouser. If there was a case against these two back in 2023-24, and the prosecution was satisfied, what has changed?
Well,
this is why these statements are going to be fairly significant.
There's also a kind of killer line, isn't there, really, which is that Sir Keir Starmer has claimed in Parliament today that only the Deputy National Security Advisor, Matthew Collins, he made these decisions all on his own, that he did not really refer it up to Jonathan Powell, and that no cabinet ministers were involved, and that Sir Keir Starmer himself was not involved. If that turns out not to be true, which people are very doubtful about whether that can be true or not, what has to happen to the Prime Minister?
Well, look, if there's been a direct misleading of Parliament, then we all know what needs to happen. Prime Minister has to correct the record very promptly. Otherwise, that does give rise to questions, the sort of questions that Boris Johnson faced, frankly, in standards when he was Prime Minister. So they apply to everybody equally. It doesn't matter which party they're from. And, the party now in government were very quick to make all these allegations against previous Conservative Prime Ministers. The same rules apply to them.
Well, just on the...
Patrick, about, your point about did this individual act alone? Well, he no doubt prepared his statement on his own, but let's not forget that this prosecution required not just the consent of the CPS, but the Attorney General had to give their consent for this prosecution to happen in the first place. And it would be extraordinary if at some point the Attorney General, now Lord Hermer, was not at least consulted about the final decision made to drop the case. So the idea that all of this was just done by one person seems to me to be fanciful at best and misleading at worst.
All right, Sir Robert Buckland there, thank you very, very much. Former Conservative Justice Secretary. Watch this space is very much the line here when it comes to the China issue and Sir Keir Starmer. Of course, Starmer is saying that, it's basically the Tories' fault. Coming up at 10 p.m. Rachel Reeves's economic disaster class could ruin your life. Next.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's simply more of the same during the next 24 hours. If you've seen a lot of low cloud this week so far, you're going to see more again during the next 24 to 48 hours as high pressure simply sits where it is. It's not moving anywhere for the time being. And within that high pressure, we've got a lot of trapped low cloud, unable to break up, unable to shift. So it's just going to sit in the same places. A few exceptions, however. It is being broken up over some of the more rugged terrain, so parts of West Wales into the southwest, and more especially parts of Northern England and Scotland, seeing a few cloud breaks overnight. When we get that, it will be a chilly start to the day. Temperatures dipping to 3, 4, 5 Celsius across, say, sheltered parts of the Grampians, where we've got those clear skies overnight. Northern Scotland, at least the far north, especially Orkney, seeing some light showers from the word go, 1 or 2 showers just fringing upon the Western Isles as well. Otherwise, it's a dry start for most, but we do have these showers to mention as well for East Anglia and Kent. But inland, plenty of fine weather, settled, yes, under that area of high pressure, but that low cloud still with us throughout the day in most places. But like I say, there are a few exceptions. Western fringes, as well as parts of central Scotland, likely to see the best of any brighter spells through Thursday afternoon. Temperatures very similar to the last few days, 13 to 16 Celsius. Friday morning, more of the same once again, with a few light showers for the north of Scotland, 1 or 2 into East Anglia and the south of England. Perhaps the cloud developing more holes in the south towards the end of the afternoon, and actually Saturday's looking marginally brighter. Still a lot of cloud, but perhaps a better chance of some sunshine. That is before more unsettled weather returns.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's just 3 weeks left to see how you could be our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
only on GB News.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight.
As a result, we won't have to do a budget like this ever again.
Rachel Reeves said that she'd never do another tax hiking budget.
Of course, we're looking at further measures on tax and spending to make sure that the public finances always add up.
Today, she admits there'll be loads of tax rises. Also,
It looks like the police are trying to cause a scene.
I'm going to speak to the lady who was arrested for trying to hang a Union flag from an Essex council building today. Her charges were dropped. On my panel tonight, we've got the Director of Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, the Reform UK councillor, Russell Quirk, and broadcaster and journalist, Nina Mishkov. I will have all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, some sensational stuff on there, but also, what is this about?
Thurston. Hello, my name's Isabel. I'm actually here to place you under citizen's arrest.
Excuse me, I'm trying to get some work.
I'm so sorry.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Your taxes are going to go up so we can give more art classes to illegal migrants. Next.
Very good evening to you, just after 10 o'clock. Well, the top story this hour, breaking news. The government has released witness statements from the Deputy National Security Advisor, Matt Collins, revealing China's intelligence services, it says, are running large-scale espionage operations against the UK. In one of those statements, Collins warned those efforts threaten Britain's economic prosperity and the integrity of its democracy. But he added the UK remains committed to a positive relationship with Beijing, aiming to cooperate where we can, he says, compete where we need to and challenge where we must. Those statements were made part of the collapsed China spy case against two men accused of passing secrets to Beijing. Charges, though, that were dropped last month. Both men also deny the charges. Well, earlier today, during Prime Minister's questions, Sir Keir Starmer insists that officials were not directed or influenced before giving evidence in the case.
I'm deeply disappointed by the outcome. We wanted to see prosecutions. Mr. Speaker, I know just how seriously, rightly, that you take these matters. National security will always be the first priority of this government, and after legal advice, I have decided to publish the witness statement. Given the information contained, we will conduct a short process, but I want to make clear I intend to publish the witness statements in full.
Responding to those comments, though, the Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch said the government's response stinks of a cover-up.
On Monday, the Security Minister repeatedly told the House that ministers did not take decisions, that it was the Deputy National Security Advisor who had full freedom. Is the government seriously saying that only one man, the Deputy National Security Advisor, had anything to do with this failure? Is he seriously saying that the Deputy did not discuss with the National Security Advisor, did not discuss with the Home Secretary or with anyone in Downing Street? Is the Prime Minister seriously saying that?
Yes.
Tonight, fears are growing that the fragile Gaza ceasefire could unravel as Hamas has claimed it's now returned all the bodies it can find. The group has said that retrieving any others would require significant efforts and specialised equipment. But we have had a statement, meanwhile, from Israel confirming the remains of 2 more hostages have been handed to the Red Cross. But it means 19 remain unaccounted for in Gaza. Under the first phase of the peace plan, Hamas was required to return 28 bodies. It follows a day of tensions after Israel revealed one body handed over last night was not one of those missing hostages. Meanwhile, in Washington, President Trump has told reporters he'd consider letting Israel resume fighting if Hamas is to meet the ceasefire deal, fails to meet the ceasefire deal, rather, saying that Israel could return to the Gaza streets. Here, a misconduct hearing for a Metropolitan Police firearms officer who shot dead Jermaine Baker during a foiled prison break nearly a decade ago has today been dismissed. The officer, known as Whiskey 80, fired the fatal shot in 2015 as police stopped a plot to free prisoners outside Wood Green Crown Court. A public inquiry in 2022 had already found that Mr Baker was lawfully killed, though he was unarmed when shot. The misconduct panel today ruled there was no case to answer, ending what Met Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley called a decade of legal madness.
The system itself, the regulations which hold police to account, do not have the right balance. As I say, they're exploited too often by criminals and their legal teams to undermine police officers' confidence. And we need a system which looks fairly at split-second decisions taken by officers in the most difficult operational moments.
And former funeral director Robert Bush has admitted 35 counts of fraud after human remains were discovered at his funeral home in Hull. The 47-year-old also pleaded guilty to fraudulent trading over funeral plans, but denies 30 charges of preventing lawful burial and one of theft from charities. Police say they have received more than 2,000 calls from concerned families during what they have called a complex and highly sensitive investigation. Bush will stand trial over the remaining charges in October next year. Those are the 10 o'clock headlines. I'll be back with you again in an hour.
Well, good evening. As you were just hearing there, the latest information has landed regarding the China spy scandal. We're going to get you more on that very, very shortly, but I just want to point a couple of things out to you. The government has published these 3 witness statements about why they did not proceed with this China spy trial. Very interesting thing to note is that Keir Starmer has claimed that the decision not to provide what was described as being an additional 5% of evidence that the Crown Prosecution Service said that they required in order to press ahead with this case was unilaterally not given by the Deputy Security Advisor, that chap, Matt Collins. They said that he did not get involved with any ministers, with the Prime Minister, or with anyone else about that, which a lot of people find simply quite hard to believe. And, yeah, we're going to give you the very latest on these witness statements that have come through now. It's a very significant development in the China spy scandal that is, of course, threatening to bring down this government. However, Rachel Reeves is spending money on art classes for illegal migrants and benefits for foreigners whilst crippling you with tax rises. Here's what Rachel Reeves said before the last election.
Conservatives are now the party of high tax.
Rachel Reeves increased taxes by a record £40 billion in her first budget. It's the highest tax burden in modern history.
I worked as an economist at the Bank of England before entering politics.
She exaggerated the length of time she worked there, and she said that she worked as an economist at the Bank of Scotland, whereas actually she worked in the complaints department.
I believe in sound money and in public spending that's kept under control.
Labour has borrowed £83.6 billion this financial year. They voted down welfare reforms. We now have a welfare bill that's around £303 billion a year. No wonder she was brought to tears in Parliament. Then after her budget, she said this.
We have now drawn a line under the inheritance that I faced. Public finances are now on a firm footing, and also our public services are funded in a proper way. And we've now set the envelope for those public services for the rest of this Parliament, which means we're not going to have to come back for more.
And now today, she finally appeared to have admitted that there will be more tax rises. In fact, if the reports are right, she's about to raise taxes more than any other G7 country. Look at this. Higher tax rises than Germany, the US, France, Italy, Japan and Canada. There are now warnings that she's going to raise income tax, and she's probably going to limit the amount that you can save tax-free every year. But remember, when your taxes go up again, today it's emerged that nearly £10 billion is being spent every year just on benefits for foreigners. Nearly 17% of all universal credit payments are given to non-UK citizens. Migrants who have arrived since January 2021 could end up costing taxpayers, are you ready for this? £234 billion. Illegals being deported are being given free arts and craft classes, IT lessons. They've even got a welfare buddy. So don't worry, when you see your taxes go up, you can sleep easy because you paid for someone to give an Afghan a hug. I wouldn't be surprised if we were paying for someone to give them a bedtime story on their flight back home as well. The deportation centres alone cost you £260 million. Forget her blubbering in the House of Commons. Rachel Reeves is about to make the entire country weep. Let's get the thoughts of my panel on this. Director of Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood. We've got Reform UK Councillor Russell Quirk and journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. Right, Mark, OK, so she has basically said today that taxes are going up, despite everything that I've just played for you there. I mean, untenable or not, her position? What do you think?
Colour me unsurprised. I mean, I don't think this is surprising at all. It's disappointing, of course. She claimed to have fixed it once. She had this supposed black hole she'd inherited from the Conservatives. Apparently she's filled in that hole. So new holes that she needs to fill in, I presume, are of her own making. This is the enormous problem she's got. and if I'm trying to show her a modicum of sympathy, Britain's public finances are unsustainable. We cannot keep spending in the way that we are spending, and we are, broadly speaking, taxing the economy to the maximum. You might be able to squeeze out just a little bit more tax here or a little bit more tax there, but we're scaring people off. People are either leaving the country or deciding it's not worth working. So she's in an impossible position unless she can cut spending. And we've got to have a serious discussion about cutting spending. Patrick, I am absolutely with you. I would scrap every arts class for every illegal migrant.
10 billion quid on universal credit for the month.
Yeah, but even this is not enough to balance the books, right? So, by all means, tick off all the things we can quickly save money on. But in roundabout terms, we're going to have to cut the government budget by, I don't know, 10%? Just to stabilise it. And that is going to require some big changes, and the Labour Party's not willing to contemplate anything on that scale.
What I'm not sure, Russell, that the Labour Party quite understand is the level of public anger that there is out there. And when they see their taxes go up again, or their businesses being clobbered again, or unemployment continuing to rise, and the fact that when they look at France, Germany, the US, Japan or Canada, that we are being taxed at a faster and higher rate than any of those nations, and then they continue to see the fact that we've got people who have arrived in that so-called Boris wave in 2021, legal migrants, are set to cost the taxpayer around 240 billion quid, right? We're not going to tolerate that anymore.
So we are in a doom loop. And that doom loop is that we are spending beyond our means. You know, we've gone mad with the public sector credit card. It seems that Rachel Reeves, despite her wonderful credentials as an economist, I'm smiling as I say that, Patrick, doesn't know what the Laffer curve is. Now, the Laffer curve is that thing which is pretty obvious to most of us, even those of us that are not economists, that if you keep taxing, to use an old phrase, till the pips squeak, what then happens is those people that are earning money, employing people and so on, they go, they leave, and it's happening. I've got dozens and dozens of people I know in business that are either going or have gone. Monaco, Italy, Dubai. Employers and their corporation tax, they're off. They've gone. Let's just talk about benefits for a second. Benefits were construed, understandably and acceptably, as something that was supposed to be a temporary measure to help people temporarily. We have become Benefit Britain and some supersized Benefit Britain on the basis now that we're spending £300 billion. That's about a third of the government's total budget, just having people sick with anxiety at home, unemployed and so on. Not least the fact that we're spending an increasingly disproportionate amount on people that weren't even born here.
Well, there's something along the lines of about 43% of GDP comes from just tax now, which
spending is about 43%.
Yeah, it's insane. So some of the things that Rachel Reeves is flying kites up about is some kind of wealth tax, so potentially that, stopping anyone who wants to save more than £10,000 a year tax-free on the ISA, and
mansion tax on homes.
Mansion tax on homes as well, and she might do, and there's an article in the Telegraph about this today, but she might have to raise income tax as well. So, which things do we think are going to be acceptable?
And VAT, potentially.
And VAT.
Well, you're quite right about the benefits bill, and I would tackle it from both ends. The triple lock pension, you really seriously have to look at that. I mean, I'm speaking as a pensioner. I think that should be means tested. I really do. And then you look at the young people, the 16 to 24-year-olds. There are 1 million of them that are not in education, work or training. They're just sitting there on their dot, you know, thinking they're depressed. I mean, I don't mean to belittle people who have genuine mental health problems and emotional problems, but seriously, we can't all be Fruit Loops.
So there are some people playing the system, right?
Yeah. Well, of course there are people playing the system. There have always been people playing the system, but you have to tackle that because it's both ends.
It's a political hot potato, though, isn't it? Because successive parties and governments don't want to do. They don't want to attack pensioners, despite the fact this government has, because they're voters. They're big voters.
The Conservatives have always traditionally been voted for by pensioners. But the thing is, what we must be careful about is not saying that all these billions are going to migrants, because people immediately think these are the people coming across in the boats and they're getting all this money. That's not.
There are 1.3 million people that weren't born in this country that are on benefits. 1.3 million people in this country.
Let's just look at the thing.
So 17% of everyone on universal credit is a foreign national.
Yes, but the thing is, well, some have come on the EU settlement scheme. They'll have a right to reside in the UK. They account for 9.8%. 2.7% of the total had indefinite leave to remain.
Yeah.
Refugees counted for how much? 1.5%, while 0.7% had come by safe and legal humanitarian routes, including the Ukraine and Afghan. It's a small percentage.
But we are by far the most benevolent country on the planet. There are countries like Japan, Singapore that say if you're a foreign national, you get nothing.
Can I just? Do we want to live there? No, but we don't.
I don't want to pay benefits to people that rock up here expecting us to pay with their hand.
No, we're not. It's a tiny percentage. It's a tiny percentage.
£7 billion a year.
Yeah, you're both right. It is a small percentage, but it is still a large amount of money. And look, I've plucked this number slightly out of thin air, but it's going to be this order of magnitude. The government, this one or the next one, is going to have to find something like 100 or 150 billion pounds worth of savings. And I don't much mind whether they can find that in big blocks or if it's a billion here and a billion there and a billion somewhere else adding up to 150 billion. But that's the scale of the problem, because we can't, as Russell was saying, we basically can't tax any more. If you do so, you might get a very short-term boost. If we were to say hit people's properties, you might get a short-term boost this year, but people will decide next year to leave, or at least not to come.
But the problem we have with the Labour government now is that ideology is now meeting reality, and that is when you want to do all this lovely fluffy stuff as a government. 15 months in, Rachel Reeves is now realising, you can't do the things that you wanted to do in sixth form.
But the thing is, the whole thrust of this is that the Labour government is providing sweeties, television, God knows what, for people who come across the boat. It is not that. The fact here is that the proportion of payments to foreign nationals has fallen since July 2024. So under Labour, they've done better than the Conservatives.
I'm giving universal credit, but then you also have to look at the number of people that we've got in asylum hotels. You also have to look at the number of people that we've got now who are going into social housing.
Legal aid,
legal aid. But it's also not just that. If you think about very well and good need to talk about this, okay, in your mind it might be a small percentage. Something like they did, for example, with the private schools fees. That was only ever, even by their calculations, going to raise a very small amount of money for
£500 million.
It's now backfired anyway. It's not raising any of that. So Labour hasn't minded trying to make these very small cuts before, but really only when it affected maybe wealthy people.
But cut net zero, 11 billion quid a year. In one fell swoop, £11 billion a year. These nonsense 20 to 25% per annum public sector pay increases for train drivers and for doctors, it's absolute nonsense.
Train drivers...
But what we know for sure is Labour.
Why are you whinging about the train drivers?
Because they're on 100 grand a year now.
Do you? They're not all on 100 grand.
The average is about 75.
Well, the 75 is not 100. Stop exaggerating.
75 grand for a train driver. They do this.
Would you like a train driver?
They do this.
Nina, the problem is public sector salaries have been generously increased.
Absolutely.
More than the private sector.
And they have not been increased in line with productivity improvements. It's not because our train drivers have got more reliable. No, they've been awarded a pay rise despite the fact that there has been no improvement in productivity.
You think a train driver's worth 3 nurses, Nina, did you?
I don't think that...
I don't think so.
A nurse doesn't get 25,000.
25 to 30k average.
More than the 20, they get 30,000.
One of the things that Rachel Reeves has done before, in that one, was obviously she said that she'd been left with this £20 billion black hole, that she had to make decisions based around that. So when she raises taxes in this budget, whatever that's going to be, does she have to acknowledge that this is either her fault directly or the wider fault of government? For example, like the money we've had to find to give away the Chagos Islands.
Yeah, I mean, she's not going to blame it on the Chagos Islands, is she? She is almost certainly going to blame it. This is the standard political trick, because she couldn't have been clearer. We've now dealt with the Conservative legacy. I'll not have to come back for more. She's going to say it's an uncertain world out there.
Aren't they trying to blame Brexit? Didn't I see that yesterday?
Well, you can blame Brexit.
That's been priced in for years.
We are all poorer. We are all poorer because of Brexit. We are all. The GDP has fallen by 4%.
So why are Germany and France? Germany and France are in a whole world of economic trouble, and they haven't Brexited.
Brexit didn't suddenly happen last week. So you should have been able to factor that in when she came away from the last budget saying, I won't need to come back for more. Well, she suddenly remembered we've left the European European Union. That slipped her mind.
May I just remind everybody, I don't vote Labour.
Fine. Yes. All right, OK. Well, look, there we go. So there was a couple of things rolling to one there. The big news, obviously, was that today Rachel Reeves finally admitted that she was going to have to raise taxes, despite saying she didn't really want to go in for any of that stuff anymore. I was just merely pointing out that there is a big area, I think, where she could make some savings, which is that whilst you're scrimping and saving because Rachel Reeves is coming for your money, you know, you are also paying for an Afghan to have a hug at a deportation hotel. So, you know, maybe we could cut back on little things like that. And we also have this breaking news for you, which we've been delving into out there. Someone has been reading these witness statements that the government has published about China. So we're going to get them to you shortly. But before that, it's the Great British Giveaway. Yes, it's your chance to win a load of cash, massive motorhome. Here's how.
There's just 3 weeks left to see how you could be our biggest winner this year with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Someone is guaranteed to win our biggest prize to date, so make sure that winner could be you. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
OK, bear with me. There appears to be something of a smoking gun in the evidence that Labour have just released about the China spy scandal. Just very quickly, what's been published here is that China was repeatedly referred to as a threat by the National Security Advisor and the Deputy. However, they put here in a statement that said, however, the UK government is committed to pursuing a positive relationship with China to strengthen understanding, cooperation and stability. The allegation there would be that after Labour have spent ages blaming the Conservatives for the collapse of this, that they've had to base their response to this on Conservative Party policy, that actually this was in the Labour Party manifesto. That's their line from the Labour Party manifesto about China, which means that basically it was political. So we're going to get more on this very, very shortly. But first...
But it looks like the police are trying to cause a scene.
I will speak to the lady who was arrested for trying to hang a Union flag from an Essex council building. The charges were dropped today. She joins me live in a few minutes.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Martin Daubney. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Nana Akweer. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I think
solo travel can be really enriching. I think it helps build so many different skills. You have to problem solve, navigate different social interactions. It can be great for building confidence, mental health, resilience, and the interactions you have with people tend to be richer when you're traveling on your own. So I'm all for it. I think it can really help reset the mind and give you that confidence boost for sure.
70% of solo travellers are women. Why do you think that is?
I think in general, post-pandemic, we have seen people prioritising travel. I think because it was taken away from us and restricted for quite a long time, we've seen this general overall trend that people are prioritising travel, spending more on travel. And I think women in particular, in general, we do tend to get pulled in so many different directions. If you're a working mother and a partner, our lives are so hectic, and solo travel, I guess, for women just gives them a chance to have a little bit of a breather, have a little bit of an escape, recharge, and hopefully come back after their trip, you know, in a healthier, more refreshed mindset.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. All of tomorrow's newspaper front pages shortly. And yes, we will have the very latest for you on the China spy scandal, which has somehow got even worse. But anyway, her arrest sparked widespread outrage and condemnation. But now the case against Epping mum Sarah White has finally been dropped. She was arrested back in August after unfurling a union flag at an anti-migrant hotel protest.
But it looks like the police are trying to cause a scene. Look at that. Look what they're doing. Look what the police are doing. What are they doing?
Well, she was due to appear at Chelmsford Crown Court today after being charged with failing to comply with the Section 14 order designating where demonstrations could take place. But yesterday, the Crown Prosecution Service dropped the case completely, citing a lack of evidence. Very bizarre, isn't it? I'm delighted to be joined in the studio now by Sarah. Sarah, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Patrick.
Bit annoyed?
I'm annoyed that I didn't get my day in court, to be honest, because I wanted to show the establishment up for what they really are.
So what do you think they were trying to do here? Because it seems bizarre that they would arrest you, make a big song and dance out of arresting you very publicly, charge you, and then drop it because they say they haven't got enough evidence.
Well, they initially arrested me under Section 14, which they totally breached their abuse of powers. And then I was charged with Section 11 and Section 12.
Well, go on, just explain to us what that is.
So Section 11 and Section 12 is that I deferred from the route of the procession. The route of the procession, I asked in the interview, I said, for the benefit of the tape, could you read that out to me? And they said the Commissioner had said that the route was to take place from the Bell Hotel to the Civic Centre. And the moment they said that, I knew that there was nothing wrong, because the Civic Centre is the council offices.
So that's where you tried to hang the flag from?
Yeah, and it was the stairs of the Civic Centre that I hung the flag over, which we do every week at that protest. We do that every single week. Things had changed in Epping that night. They had brought in other police officers. It was funny, mainstream media were there. They're not usually there. So we knew that there would be arrests that night. And lo and behold, I was arrested, and so was Callum.
And that process for you as well, of course, you were taken away, your kids, weren't you? Do you want to just talk to us a little bit about that? Because it must have been quite traumatic for you initially. Yeah,
to be honest with you, it was an unlawful arrest, and there's a brutal arrest as well. There was 3 police officers. I was covered in bruises. I had bruising all under my jaw here where I'd got punched. I had bruising all down my leg and all down this arm, predominantly on this side. The officer on this side was excessive. I did have bruising this side, but this side was the worst. And then they said, we're going to de-arrest you. So they drove me down the road, took me to a petrol station, opened up the doors, took off my cuffs, gave me a bottle of water, and then sat there for 10 minutes and said, we're really sorry, we're taking you to a station. They took me to Grays, which is further away than what they should have taken me. And then I was kept for 24 hours. So it was the maximum amount of time that they could keep me. So as far as I'm aware, what they was trying to do was send a message to any woman that wants to go out protesting. If we can arrest her and do that to her and be as forceful as we was, then yous lot are going to toe the line. Because at the moment in this country, women are rising and women are standing up, and that is encouraging more men to come out as well.
Yeah, so you think really what they were trying to do was not just silence you, but send a wider message to people as well?
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, what they didn't take into account was I'm the wrong person to arrest, because it didn't silence me. In fact, when I come out from spending 24 hours in police custody, Elon Musk had tweeted, and if you've reached the richest man in the world, you've done something right. So I took one for the team. If it had meant that I'd gone to prison, then so be it. I will not stop until this country is in a better state. And I would encourage all women to get out and protest and do what's right for the future generation.
I can't help but noticing as I was reading that, actually, that you were due to appear at Chelmsford Crown Court. That's right?
I was told magistrates.
Magistrates, right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because it's the same court, I believe, where the bloke who was from Eritrea, who was now been found guilty of multiple different counts of sexual assault, one of them, of course, against a schoolgirl, that ignited a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
He was at that court as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, recently. Not that long
so he would have been there. I mean, do you have any indication of what kind of sentence or punishment that you were lined up to get here?
12 months.
Right, because I think he's got 12
months.
12 months.
Yeah.
So conceivably, you would have had exactly the same prison sentence for
And a fine.
And a fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. For unfurling a Union flag from the Civic Centre that he got for sexually abusing a schoolgirl.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
No.
And it doesn't make sense at all. But what that's done is it sparked a rage across the country, because I think Epping was like the epicentre for all of these protests that are going on up and down the country. And I believe that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to silence us, so we shut up, we backed down. And it hasn't done that. It's just, what it did do was I then got the chance to speak at Tommy Robinson's march on the 13th of September to 2 million people. I then got driven home by Ant Middleton. I've then walked half naked through Whitechapel, sprayed pink, which everybody see, which again has sparked more talk and more interest. And now I'm going to have dinner with Ben Habib next week.
Right.
So, and I've joined the advance party. So things have really progressed, and all that's doing is I've now got massive traction and I've got a massive platform to now speak on. And we are now, as the Pink Ladies, we are encouraging all of the different areas across the country to come out, and we're doing one a month, going and seeing more women and gaining bigger traction, making protests in all of the areas. And then eventually I can't see why most women across this country won't be out in full force.
Well, I mean, it's an incredibly brave thing to do. One of the things that a lot of people have mentioned over the years is that a lot of these refugees welcome marches and things, you can often see quite a lot of, like, I'll just say it, you know, middle-class, lovey white women who are there saying, oh, refugees are welcome here. A lot of people are saying, actually, do you not necessarily realise that perhaps you are some of the people who are most at threat by some of the people who are in this country illegally, who we don't know who they are, and go on and commit these sex crimes. And there's an aspect of useful idiocy about a lot of those people, but you are trying to lead the counter to that, aren't you? And you think that you're really going to make a difference here, because basically people can't silence the women of England.
No, definitely not. And I think when women come out together, when women stand together, when women rise together, you've got a massive force on your hands, because then what happens is it encourages their husbands, their sons, their fathers to come out and protect us. And because they're thinking, well, if my wife's out protesting, I've got to go and protect
you look like
her.
a bit of a so-and-so if you're just sitting at home.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, and that is ultimately what we want. People keep going to me, well, you know, they're not all criminals. No, they're not all criminals, but we don't know who they are. And let's not forget, they've broken into this country, they're undocumented, we don't know who they are and what they're capable of. And we've got our own criminals to contend with. Our own prisons are overrun.
Yeah.
So we haven't got space for these people. And another thing that I'm campaigning for is if you can give funding to these undocumented men and allow them to live in lovely properties or four-star hotels, then what is happening to our families with disabled children who are having their benefits stripped to every single turn? And that is something that surely everyone can agree on, whether you're left or right.
Well,
we
quite.
can all agree on that.
Well, yeah, I would have thought so. Look, Sarah, thank you very, very much. I'm sorry that you had to go through all of that, and especially all the kind of bruising and physical injury.
Well, I am taking things further.
I was going to ask, but then I thought we haven't got to the police about that yet, so there we go. But I've got that impression. Anyway, all right. Look, thank you very much. Great to see you, and I hope to see you again very, very soon. We have got a spokesperson from the Crown Prosecution Service, though, who said this. This case was charged by the police, and the material from the investigation was provided to us following a careful review of the case. We determined that our legal test for prosecution was not met and have subsequently discontinued with both charges. Well, that begs a few questions there anyway. Well, thank you very much, Sarah. You take care. Right, coming up, all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, the big breaking news at the moment. I know this might all seem a little bit complex. We're going to try and really get to the heart of it for you. It's this China spy trial scandal. There's details now that have come out about that are pretty damning for the government. I'll reveal all in a couple of minutes' time.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you are searching for some holiday sunshine, I can recommend Portugal as one of the warmer and sunnier spots on Thursday. Drier in the Balearics following a wet start to the week, but the rain that has affected parts of Spain and the Balearics now moving through Sardinia, affecting parts of southern Italy into Greece as well. So very lively thunderstorms and some large rainfall amounts. Still some showers across Spain, otherwise mostly fine for Portugal. And the wet weather in Greece becomes more widespread into Croatia and Greece later on.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's simply more of the same during the next 24 hours. If you've seen a lot of low cloud this week so far, you're going to see more again during the next 24 to 48 hours as high pressure simply sits where it is. It's not moving anywhere for the time being. And within that high pressure, we've got a lot of trapped low cloud, unable to break up, unable to shift. So it's just going to sit in the same places. A few exceptions, however. It is being broken up over some of the more rugged terrain, so parts of West Wales into the southwest, and more especially parts of Northern England and Scotland, seeing a few cloud breaks overnight. When we get that, it will be a chilly start to the day, temperatures dipping to 3, 4, 5 Celsius across, say, sheltered parts of the Grampians, where we've got those clear skies overnight. Northern Scotland, at least the far north, especially Orkney, seeing some light showers from the word go, 1 or 2 showers just fringing upon the Western Isles as well. Otherwise, it's a dry start for most, but we do have these showers to mention as well for East Anglia and Kent. But inland, plenty of fine weather, settled, yes, under that area of high pressure, but that low cloud still with us throughout the day in most places. But like I say, there are a few exceptions. Western fringes, as well as parts of central Scotland, likely to see the best of any brighter spells through Thursday afternoon. Temperatures very similar to the last few days, 13 to 16 Celsius. Friday morning, more of the same once again, with a few light showers for the north of Scotland, 1 or 2 into East Anglia and the south of England. Perhaps the cloud developing more holes in the south towards the end of the afternoon. And actually, Saturday's looking marginally brighter. Still a lot of cloud, but perhaps a better chance of some sunshine. That is before more unsettled weather returns on Sunday.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. 2 front pages for you now, then the breaking news about China. Daily Telegraph. Cummings, China stole secrets in a major hack. This is another story about them, which is that basically China essentially appears to have infested every single top tier of British government for a long period of time. Then we go to the iPaper. Leaked memo reveals Labour plan to slash affordable homes target. Don't worry, everyone. They're going to build a load in Gaza. But breaking tonight, in the past few minutes, the government has published key witness statements from Deputy National Security Advisor Matt Collins. There we go. And this is part of the collapsed China spy case. Collins says that Chinese intelligence services were, quote, highly capable and conduct large-scale espionage operations against the UK. So an admittance, a total admittance that China is conducting espionage against us. OK. But crucially, he went on to say that the government is, quote, committed to pursuing a positive relationship with Beijing. Well, the Conservatives have since hit out, saying that these statements fall short of what was requested and demanding the full, quote, China files be published now. The spokesperson for the Tories says what has already been published shows the extent of the threat that China poses to the UK and makes it all the more shocking that the Prime Minister knew of the imminent collapse of the trial but did nothing to stop it. And that is a key point. So we have the Deputy National Security Advisor here on record giving evidence that just stopping short of the fact that they are describing China specifically as a national security threat and an enemy, just stopping short of it, that the government knew he'd just stopped short of it, were told that if he didn't go a little bit further, the case would collapse, and then did nothing to stop the collapse of that case. What do you make of this, Mark?
It is pretty extraordinary. And again, the reason why I agree with that statement from the Conservatives is we need to see more evidence. We've just got Matt Collins' 3 witness statements here. But the crucial thing is, what was the Prime Minister told, if anything, and at what times? What was the correspondence between the Director of Public Prosecutions? So you're right, Patrick, it appears that the prosecuting authorities came back and said, you're nearly there, but this doesn't quite cut the mustard. We're going to need a bit more information if you want us to get us over this line and prosecute. And someone somewhere in government decided no. Either that evidence was lacking, which seems extraordinary because the evidence is on virtually every other newspaper.
But it's unfeasible, isn't it?
I agree, it's unfeasible. I mean, extraordinary. And if that decision was made by whom? If it was made entirely by Matt Collins, that's odd.
But it's unfeasible.
If it was made by the Prime Minister,
unfeasible that civil servant, that Deputy National Security Advisor, would not have sent this up the chain. There was absolutely no way that he would have done
that. And the other thing, just on this, because I want to bring the front of the Daily Telegraph on here, which adds to this. OK, so you've got the statements there that it seems very, very odd that we knew the level of threat that China was. So the Prime Minister and his ministers are trying to claim that they did not really know about this. Well, Dominic Cummings, remember him, has come out and revealed that when he was in government with Boris Johnson, China stole secrets in a major hack that basically there was a huge security breach and that the Tory government, covered it up. However, if you read throughout all of this, what he is saying is that there is no way that anyone in this Labour government who had been briefed in would not have known this. So they would not have known. So Sir Keir Starmer and co and the National Security Advisor must have known what China had done to the British government, known the level of threat, and then still chosen not to press ahead with the evidence for these charges, which is quite astonishing.
I don't know why you were surprised by this. Everybody knows, surely everybody with half a brain knows that China is spying on us, has spied on us for decades. Hang on. And it is sheer hypocrisy for the Tories to start berating Labour, because they were also dancing on the head of a pin. Kemi Badenoch said, "I cannot describe China as a foe." Foe is the same word as enemy. So they're not doing it. The problem with China is that we need them economically and to trade with. But you're dancing with the devil.
However, the problem for Sir Keir Starmer now, as is so often the case, is a question of truth. Yep. So he didn't say this. If he'd have stood up and said, right, look, our economy would have gone pop, if we pressed ahead with this, then that's one thing. We would have disagreed with it, but that's one thing. But he's not said that. What he has said is that his government is not responsible for the collapse of the China spy trial, that the precedent that was set was from the Tories, is that they're not a national security threat, and that no member of his ministers or his national security advisor had in any way been briefed into this. And I'm sorry, but no one watching this thinks that's true, do you?
Yeah.
Do you? Really?
And Patrick, he also said, I saw on your clip earlier, national security is our #1 priority. Now, if he wanted to come out and actually say national security is our #2 priority, having good trading relationships with China
taking money
is
from
our
China is our
#1
#1
priority,
yes.
But national security is the second priority. So if national security was our #1 priority and trading relations with China is a lower priority, how on earth we got to this situation?
Just think about the language that's used here. So we've got these statements here now. Matthew Collins, who's the Deputy National Security Advisor, said this. China was, quote, the biggest state-based threat to the UK's economic security. So think about that. There's a wide range of UK government and commercial targets that China has had. It's an advanced, persistent threat. Deliberately not using the specific line, enemy of the state, threat to national...
But it's all in the witness statement, isn't it?
But we've been doing this for years. For years.
So we have allowed a threat that is the nation of China to abuse us by way of stealing secrets. We've covered it up time and time again because of the commercial relation and the amount of money that they're investing. The other problem, guys, can I just say, is that if we're now saying, and the government continues to say, China are terrible, but not quite terrible enough to be a national security threat, what we're now saying is that other spies going forward now have carte blanche to spy with absolute impunity.
And to Nina's point, the thing that makes this different is you could understand that, I don't know, you might not want to release something that could be publicly embarrassing to China just before a summit because you're hoping to get an agreement. But this is about a possible spy trial. This is about criminal charges. People have gone to prison for a long time. That's what makes this one different.
We're going to pick it up. We're going to pick it up when we come back because apparently there's some more information on some of the other front pages. I mean, this is pretty horrific stuff. Stay tuned.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
You know, it was so unexpected. What we needed was somebody to sit with us and talk about how we were going to feel. Yes, everyone experiences grief differently. Everyone feels very differently after they've lost their child. But there are some real common things that run through it. And one of them is guilt. Could I have prevented this happening to my child? I'm here to protect them and I didn't protect him. And that was some of the things that Paul did say to me that weekend was he felt he'd failed us. He felt he'd let George down. He'd failed me as his wife. The most awful things to say. And of course, I reassured him. But what we needed was somebody who, you know, had some experience of working with families who'd experienced such loss. Someone to sit with us. And that's what Tawish does. That's the one thing that I was so passionate about, was making sure that we work with hospitals, the police, because there's obviously a heavy police influence as well. Somebody who will get that referral. The family then can sit with our workers and just talk.
And Rhiannon, Tuish is now part of Prince William's new National Suicide Prevention Network, which is launched around 20 organisations, I believe, around the country. Can you just explain how the charity and yourself got involved and how that led to Prince William literally sitting in your kitchen and you having a chat with him?
I just worked with the Royal Foundation, so I'm honestly overwhelmed that they want us to be part of this very important network. So it's bringing the 4 nations together, which again is a unique piece of work where people can talk, find out why is this happening to our loved ones? What can we do to support these people? Let's bring people together. Let's talk about it. And more importantly, let's talk about suicide.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome back. Let's round off the front pages. We're starting this round with The Guardian. Budget will raise taxes on wealthy to fix public finances, says Reeves. Palestine's top leader beaten in Israeli jail. Oh, well. The Daily Express, Kemi, it stinks of a China cover-up by the Prime Minister. It certainly does, Kemi. Daily Mail, Chinese stole secrets from Number 10 for years. And The Times, Whitehall data breach gave secrets to the Chinese. Mark, can you just explain to us what's happened with the Chinese stealing our state secrets, please?
Yeah, I mean, you've got the sort of... I mean, the Chinese communists have got their own agents and, you know, they try to crack in and gain intelligence in the same way that MI6 do that for us, right? We'll be interested in information that's going on in China or other countries of interest. So we should be unsurprised about that. I mean, it's still worrying what Cummings has said, because it appears that our security protocols aren't up to much. But if you like, we've been caught on the hop there. That's rather different to this particular case, which is about having Brits who are acting as spies. You know, back in the old days, that I'm old enough to remember, you'd expect the KGB from the Soviet Union to be trying to find information about you and you know, breaking in and stealing files. But as soon as you found British agents who were assisting with that, you would prosecute.
But underneath all this, you've got a kind of Alan Partridge-like kind of dynamic, whereby apparently we allowed the Chinese to buy a company that housed our most secret of secrets. I mean, wow. And it went wrong.
Security protocols were somewhat lacking. But we've been very pragmatic about spies. Look at Anthony Blunt, who was the Queen's head of her pictures, her art collection. He was spying for years, and he was allowed to remain. He was allowed to remain, for heaven's sake. And I know this is not state secrets, but that was Russia. He was spying for Russia, for God's sake.
But we didn't consider the Cambridge spy ring was sort of all fine.
No, we didn't.
The Soviet Union. We want to have some nice relations with the Soviets.
But we pick and choose.
But do we think that the law is a bit of an ass when it comes to the fact that you can only be prosecuted as a spy if it can be proven that the country you're spying for is a proper national security threat? Yeah, but surely it should be everybody that spies for whoever should be prosecuted.
I think that's right.
I've just got to say, I'm just going to do this. So because we've obviously got the show afterwards, all the newspapers on the front of 1, 2, 3, I think 4 national newspapers tomorrow. It is Whitehall data breach gave secrets to the Chinese. There was a critical failure, that we were infiltrated, and it was covered up. So it's on 4 national newspapers, right? A Cabinet Office spokesperson has told GB News it is untrue to claim that the systems we use to transfer the most sensitive government information have been compromised. So...
well, who do you believe? I mean...
or is that just a very careful selection of words?
Is coming somebody that we've,
Well, quite, but it's also the use of the phrase most sensitive government information. What is the most sensitive?
Yeah, OK, maybe the most sensitive. But the second most sensitive and the third most sensitive, the Chinese Communist Party have got all
It wasn't really bad. It was quite bad.
They're on every single one of our mobile phones. Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. Anyway, right, well, we've got another hour to really get stuck into not just this breaking news, but everything else on the front of the national news newspapers as well. Thank you to my wonderful panel. Thank you to you at home. Stay tuned for at least another hour. See you in a sec.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's simply more of the same during the next 24 hours. If you've seen a lot of low cloud this week so far, you're going to see more again during the next 24 to 48 hours as high pressure simply sits where it is. It's not moving anywhere for the time being. And within that high pressure, we've got a lot of trapped low cloud, unable to break up, unable to shift. So it's just going to sit in the same places. A few exceptions, however. It is being broken up over some of the more rugged terrain, so parts of West Wales into the southwest, more especially parts of Northern England and Scotland seeing a few cloud breaks overnight. When we get that, it will be a chilly start to the day, temperatures dipping to 3, 4, 5 Celsius across, say, sheltered parts of the Grampians, where we've got those clear skies overnight. Northern Scotland, at least the far north, especially Orkney, seeing some light showers from the word go, 1 or 2 showers just fringing upon the Western Isles as well. Otherwise, it's a dry start for most, but we do have these showers to mention as well for East Anglia and Kent. But inland, plenty of fine weather, settled, yes, under that area of high pressure, but that low cloud still with us throughout the day in most places. But like I say, there are a few exceptions. Western fringes, as well as parts of central Scotland, likely to see the best of any brighter spells through Thursday afternoon. Temperatures very similar to the last few days, 13 to 16 Celsius. Friday morning, more of the same once again, with a few light showers for the north of Scotland, 1 or 2 into East Anglia and the south of England. Perhaps the cloud developing more holes in the south towards the end of the afternoon. And actually, Saturday's looking marginally brighter. Still a lot of cloud, but perhaps a better chance of some sunshine. That is before more unsettled weather returns.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, it's just got even worse for the government. It looks as though this really is the scandal that might finally bring them down. It is, of course, relating to China. We've got all of the very latest details for you. It's on the front of a couple of national newspapers, as well as the fact that China appeared to have basically managed to break into our most secretive national infrastructure. There's quite a bit about tax rises on there as well, and also Labour saying that they're not going to build as many affordable homes as they previously said, but don't worry, because they will build loads in Gaza. Stay tuned.
There's just 3 weeks left to see how you could be our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Line